Welcome to School of Timeless Wisdom. My name is Omni Amin, and today we're focusing on something very simple. But this very simple substance can change your whole world. And I literally mean it because it is something that is found everywhere. And it has been used a great deal by our ancestors, but it's been forgotten. And this very simple substance is salt. SALT, salt, common salt, normal salt. So, why salt? If we think about salt, the oceans are water and salt, salty water. And when we think about our body, all the body functions need salt. So, for the brain to function, for your spinal cord, cerebrum, everything, you need salt. When you are dehydrated, the first thing that they give you is salt. When you have a skin condition, they make you bathe into body salt or any bath salt. So, and also when you want to relax, you can lie in salt. When you want to take toxins out of the body, you can have a small tub of water with salt. So here, what is salt? What is it? Is it just like sodium chloride, NaCl, and that's it? No. Actually, salt is a crystal. And just like any other crystals, any other energetic crystals, salt is the main crystal of this earth, this planet, because the oceans that are filled with salt are exactly like the human body that needs the salt to function. So salt here has not just body functions, it has so many properties for the planet, for you, and guess what? For your not just physical well-being, but also for your spiritual well-being. So many people speak about how they use salt for protection. I remember when I was young and newlyweds, when they just been married and coming out in front of the people, they would sprinkle salt on them. And why? Because salt holds the energy. Because just like any crystal that you can program it. Imagine programming salt, the salt that you use, the salt that you cook with, the salt that you drink, adding salt to your water. And the idea of being aware of salt, it is something that is accessible to everybody. It is something that does not cost much, and anyone can use it. So here, how do I use salt on my everyday life for my well-being? The very first thing is, don't use the commercial salt that has been stripped of everything. Get natural sea salt, Himalayan salt, rock salt, salt of a good quality. So this is the crystal of the salt itself, being unpurified as it is very important because it will act like an expensive, precious or semi-precious crystal that you program. But here, it programs your whole body because your whole body is composed of it. So the very first thing is get hold of good salt and either hold the salt in your hand, put it on a plate, whatever it is, and the most important way to program the crystals, salt crystals, are by intention. Ironically, speak to your salt. This is why, when Jesus was saying that his disciples or the people of faith are the salt of the earth, what does he mean by the salt of the earth? Because without salt, this planet will not function. So without those people, they are the ones who actually hold vibration. So salt is no more than something that holds vibration because of its properties. The ancient Egyptians used it to mummify, the natron salt. It was from a place called Natron. So the natron salt was very dry salt, and they used it too in the mummification process. Even today, we use salt to dry things out and make them live longer. So here, salt holds the secret of longevity. It wards off bacteria. It preserves, it's a preservative. We pickle things in salt so that it has a longer shelf life. And your body is the most important thing that you can program because it's full of salt. So imagine putting an intention in your salt before you use it. So what do I do? Today, for example, I've got not just blessed water, I blessed my salt, I placed it in the water. Or let's say you put your salt in the water, you forgot. Bless the salt and the water together and drink it. It can be for healing. It can be an intention of prosperity. So now you're drinking all these salt crystals going into your body, prosperity. It can be lots of things. It doesn't matter what you want, but the intention has to be clear. Now, some people use it in many ways. For example, have a salt bath. If you're always swimming in the ocean, what is the ocean? It's salt in your body. That's why when you leave the ocean, when you leave the sea, you feel exhilarated because of that salt effect. And a lot of people who are lucky enough to be able to have access to the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea is not dead. The Dead Sea is full of life because of its salt minerals. So a lot of people who need healing go to the Dead Sea to bathe in the Dead Sea or bring Dead Sea salts. And I have seen them, in fact, help my friends with eczema and other atopic usages for bacteria and infections. In the past, I used to remember my granny getting a gouge or a cloth and filling it with salt and placing it on top of a cupboard or on top of somewhere where there are lots of people or under the sofa. And I would ask her, what are you doing? And she would say, the salt will absorb negativity. And I would say, what do you mean absorb negativity? She said, if there are any negative vibes, they will go into the salt and we cannot use the salt. So if she has lots of people in the house, she would place this salt sack, bag, whatever, sachet. And after the people leave, she would take it and throw it away and make sure no one uses it or flushes it in the toilet. It's just gone. Better that, let's say your house is not a house that receives a lot of people. Whether you receive a lot of people or not, it is good to hold a bag of salt, leave it up there, and every week, every other week, take it and change it. So with the intention, so I said the key is intention, with the intention of making sure that you're saying that all negativity is just going to be absorbed in this salt and you're flushing it out. Now, another thing, I used to feel that my house needed cleansing, especially when you had visitors who stayed with you and they left something heavy. They were not really positive people. So I used to do one thing very simple. I used to intend on the salt, put it in the pail, in the water bucket, and we would give the floor a final rinse with the salt that I have prayed upon. You can read verses from the Bible, verses from any sacred text, verses that you made up that you feel are very positive, chant a mantra, anything that is protective. And I used to just throw this water on the floor as a final mop or a final thing that would just, and I would see it driving things away. So here, salt has many usages. You just need to be consistent. And you'll say, but how do you know this? I would say you've got nothing to lose by trying. For example, you know when you're so upset and you cry? You're crying what? Salt water. So, and after you really have a good cry, you find that you feel so much better. Something has lifted off from your heart. These tears that came out of your body is a natural producer of salt. It has cleaned you, cleansed you. The same with joy. When you're really, really happy, sometimes we laugh so hard that tears fill our eyes. Now, I just wish that just like Dr. Emoto used to take the water and see the crystals, that someone would in fact give us the crystal of someone crying out of sadness and how they cleanse, or someone crying with joy and they take these tears because they're both salty, and see the difference between the two. Amazing. I'm sure it's going to speak miles for what is happening. So here, everybody can gain access to salt. The most important thing is that you realize that salt is not just a common thing that is cheap anywhere that you use in your food. Oh no. Salt has very high spiritual properties that people have forgotten. And it holds the well-being of your body. When you have salt bath or jump in the sea, it holds the well-being of your brain to function, because when you're dehydrated, they immediately give you something with salt to hydrate you again. It hydrates the body and it makes you have clearer thoughts, clearer mental ideas, and it helps with all your bodily functions. Your body cannot function if it's lacking in salt. So ask yourself, am I lacking in salt or not? But the most important thing, if you do nothing but add salt to your water, not a lot of salt, just sprinkle some, but make sure that you have made an intention, not just in your water, also for your salt. I usually buy a big tub of salt and I open it and I would encoded with whatever it is that I believe preserves me, preserves my house, protects my loved ones, gives us health, happiness, and a hope for a beautiful, well-balanced future. Remember, the Romans used to pay their soldiers in salt. So salt here is very important. Just read about it, use it. But the most important thing is place your intention in it. Careful. If you have a salt, salt and pepper on the table and you have a massive quarrel, don't use this salt. I would just immediately get rid of the salt and put batch of new salt and use it. So here, be very careful what the crystals around you are listening to and are hearing and are a witness to in your lives. So enjoy your salt. Thank you.